Hey everybody, I want to talk to you today about David of David and Goliath fame, and particularly I want to talk to you about the importance of friends in finding the strength of the Lord. The story I'm going to tell you is from 1 Samuel chapter 23. It actually is after David slaying Goliath. David had then been enlisted into the army of Saul, had had some wonderful victories, but had the result of that was he evoked the animosity, the jealousy of Saul, so much so that Saul has been seeking to kill David, and David has been forced to flee. And here's some of the things that happened as a result of that. David has fled from the presence of Saul and ran first a couple of miles away to a little village called Nob, which is where the high priest and his family and also some of the other priests lived. David showed up, and when he showed up, he didn't have a big military entourage or um, there's no pageantry, which you typically have. And Ahimelech, the high priest, is startled. He says, "Why are you here? There's no entourage. Why are you here?" And David, realizing, wow, he may be suspicious that there's some falling out with me and Saul. So he says, "Well, I'm on a secret mission from Saul." He lied. And so he got some food from Ahimelech. He didn't have a weapon because there weren't many metal weapons in Israel. And so he said, "Do you have a sword?" And he says, "Yeah, the only sword we have, though, is the sword of Goliath." So here, little David gets this giant sword and straps that on and looks ridiculous, probably almost reached to the ground. And he leaves. And what he does is he flees all the way west out of Israel, all the way 25 to 30 miles to the land of the Philistines. Apparently, he was going there to offer himself as a mercenary, thought he could go in incognito. But he gets into the court of one of the warlords. There were 5 cities of Philistia. He goes to the city of Gath, which ironically was Goliath's hometown. And he goes there, but he's recognized by one of the attendants in the court of this warlord. And there was a famous ditty that apparently made the Billboard charts and radio play in Gath because he knew about it. And the song went like this that they sang back in Israel: Saul has killed his thousands and David his tens of thousands. Well, when your primary enemy is the Philistines, you don't want to be known for killing thousands of the enemy soldiers. So David recognizes the situation he's in, the danger, so he begins to act like he's insane. He starts scratching the doors. He starts letting spittle run down his beard. And he's recognized as such a nut job that they don't even kill him. They just push him out of the city. And he leaves, he's disgraced himself. He's certainly done no honor to God in the very city where he is the conquering champion of their giant hero. He leaves in total disgrace because of fear. He goes down into the hill country and southern part of Israel. He's hiding in a cave, and while he's there, a young man shows up whose name is Abiathar. Abiathar was the son of Ahimelech the priest, and he tells him the sad story that after David fled Saul, Nob, that Saul heard that he had visited in a secret gathering meeting with Ahimelech. That was Saul's take, and that David was obviously trying to turn the priests against him. So what Saul did was he had all of the priests and all of their families executed. Abiathar is the only one that survived. He didn't know where to go, so he comes to David. And David realized by his subterfuge to the priests, it has ultimately resulted in their execution. So here's David. And while he's there in this cave, now joined by Abiathar and a few other and some vagabonds that have come to him, he hears that a local town named Keilah has been attacked and plundered by the Philistines, so he decides to go help them, and he rescues them. But in doing so, he's now made his presence known, and he asks God, are the people of Keilah going to tell Saul where I am? And God responds, they will. So he flees again and now goes farther south and is living now in the desert area, again in a little cave there somewhere on the side of a hill. And here he is licking his wounds. He's dealing with his failures. Because of his lie, innocent people have been killed. Because of his fear, he has disgraced himself in the court of the Philistines and dishonored his God. He's dealing with the fact that Saul is still after him, hounding him, leaving him no place of safety. He's dealing with people he has just rescued, planning to rat him out and sell him out to Saul. At this moment, when hope seems lost, darkness seems palpable, deeply confused and discouraged, someone shows up to his cave in the hillside. A friend showed up. And chapter 23 of 1 Samuel, verse 16 says this, "And Saul's son Jonathan went to David and helped David find strength in God." Even David, this godly man, this giant slayer, this man who would be the greatest king of, in God's estimation, the most important human kingdom in world history, needed a friend to help him find strength in God. God gives us friends like that along the way. These devotional thoughts came out of my own Bible reading and journaling. When I read what Jonathan did for David, I was struck how God has done that very thing for me, how he's used friends to help me find strength in God. When I've been weak and confused, hurting, as friends, they have pointed me to the Lord. They've helped me access God's strength in particular moments when I needed help to do so because of my own discouragement and sadness. I felt prompted to write to a handful of them to thank them for that very thing. Maybe you have a friend that has been a Jonathan for you. Maybe you should let him know how grateful you are. Maybe you have a friend who needs a Jonathan. Maybe the Lord will use this devotional to just prompt you to reach out to them. The Lord is our strength. He tells us in Ephesians 6, "Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might." But sometimes friends are needed to help us find the strength of the Lord. We thank God for those friends. We thank God for the chance to be that friend. Thanks, guys.